went to the animal fair, the birds and the bees were there. The big baboon by the light of the moon was combing his auburn hair. The monkey fell out of the bunk and slid down the elephant's trunk. The elephant sneezed and fell on his knees. But what became of the monkey? Hello! Hi! Welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. Good morning. Hello, and welcome to the show. Hang on a minute. That's not right, is it? No, it's not morning. It's the afternoon, isn't it? I mean, I know that sometimes the show is on TV in the morning for all of you early birds, sitting there waking up with your coffee in your hand, but that's when the show is repeated. And we all know the verb to repeat, don't we? And we all know the verb to repeat, don't we? And we all know the verb to repeat, don't we? That's correct. To repeat means to do something again. If, when you're talking to someone on the phone and you don't hear what they said, you can say to them, "I'm sorry, can you repeat that?" It's the same as asking them to say something again. To repeat means to say or do something again or more than once. All right, and speaking of repeating things, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to repeat some of what I said yesterday. All right, so we all remember what we were looking at yesterday, don't we? Yes, of course we do. After all, it wasn't a long time ago, was it? No. All right, so yesterday we were looking at have and have got, weren't we? And we saw that we can use have and have got to talk about lots of things. We can use these two forms to talk about possession, about something belonging to us, about us owning an object. I've got a Yamaha scooter. He has 3 pairs of green trousers. She's got a collection of expensive watches. We can also use have and have got to talk about a part of our bodies. She's got blonde hair. He's got green eyes. They have 2 legs each. All right, and as we saw yesterday, and at some point in the past, we also use have and have got when we're talking about someone suffering from an illness or disease. The children have got mumps. I have a sore throat. When you've got a cold, you also often have a headache. And, as Alfredo and Gordon know only too well, we also use have and have got to communicate that someone drank too much. Alfredo drank too much cider last night, and now he's got a hangover. Gordon has also got a hangover. Last night he was drinking sweet red wine. Today he's got a headache and a stomachache. Now, that's not new information, but there is something we need to look at which is connected to these two forms. Again, we've seen it before, but it won't hurt to look at it again. What we need to think about is not the positive form of have and have got. That's not difficult, but we need to check that we remember how to make the negative forms and how we form questions, because that's when things start to become different. When we want to make the negative with have got, then what do? Well, we have to add something to the mix, don't we? And what do we have to add? There's a word we have to add, isn't there? And which word is it? Yes, the word we always see when we're talking about negatives in English, not. So, when we want to make a negative sentence using have got, we have to add the word not. And where do we put it? Yes, that's right again. We put it between the have and the got. So, because we always like to abbreviate things, we're most likely to add the not to the part of the verb to have and then follow with got. So this means that for the first person singular, we're going to say, I haven't got. instead of I have not got. For the second person singular, we're going to say you haven't got instead of you have not got. And we're also going to use the haven't got form for the plural subjects too. And as for the third person singular, well, what do you think we're going to use? Yes, that's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Congratulations, coconuts all round. For the third person singular, we're going to use he, she, it hasn't got instead of he, she, it has not got. Now, of course, there's nothing to stop you from using the full form. Obviously, the full form is absolutely correct. It's the same form. But because we all prefer to shorten things, to abbreviate things, it's far more common to hear people using the shorter version. Right, let's see that in a table, and then we can get onto the question form, okay? I haven't, have not got rabies. You haven't, have not got a new car. He hasn't, has not got a motorbike. She hasn't, has not got a computer. It hasn't, has not got a battery. We haven't, have not got time to waste. You haven't, have not got measles. They haven't, have not got blue eyes. So, that's simple enough, isn't it? Yes, most of them are very simple. The only place we have to be a little bit careful is with the third person singular. That's all. So, when we're making a negative sentence using have got, we start with a subject, as usual. I, you, Chief Mangasuta Buthelezi, Cleopatra, then follow with have, if we're talking about the first person singular, second person singular, or one of the plural forms. We have to remember that have plus got uses the verb to have, which is irregular. So, when we're making a sentence about the third person singular, Chief Mangasuta Buthelezi or Cleopatra, for example, we use has, not have. Okay, what next? Well, we have to add the negative. We have to add not. And where do we put it? That's right. We have to put the not between has and got. And you all know that we're going to abbreviate it, don't you? Yes, of course you do. So that means that we're going to get a sentence like this. Chief Mangasuta Buthelezi hasn't got a dog called Biscuits. Cleopatra hasn't got a boyfriend anymore. Okay, and what about asking questions? Well, what do you think we do for questions? What do we normally do to make a question? We change the word order, don't we? With a positive statement, we start with the subject and then follow with a verb. But with a question, we normally start with a verb and then follow with the subject. But what about here? This verb has got more than one part. So what happens now? Well, all that happens now is that we change the positions of the subject and have. I have got changes into have I got. And, of course, we add a question mark to the end of the sentence. We want to indicate, to show that we're asking a question. That's all. So, when we want to ask a question using the have got form, then we start with the correct form of the verb to have, which is have for the first person singular, the second person singular, and all the plural subject forms. Of course, we have to remember that in the third person singular form, the correct form is not have, but has. So, the only change we have to make is that we start these questions we're asking he, she, Alfredo, the Hulk, Yoda, Cleopatra, anyone who is the third person singular, then we don't start with have, but with the third person form of the verb, has. After that, it's all the same. Follow with the subject, then follow the subject with got, and the rest of the sentence. Simple. I have got a scooter. I haven't, I have not got a motorbike. Have I got a scooter? You have got a bicycle. You haven't, you have not got a CD player. Have you got any bread? The Hulk's got, the Hulk has got black hair. He hasn't, he has not got a skateboard? Has the Hulk got a goldfish? Cleopatra's she has got a new TV. Cleopatra hasn't, she has not got a frying pan. Has Cleopatra got a dictionary? It has got a new blanket. It hasn't, it has not got a new bed. Has it got central heating? We have got a new car. We have not got 3 bedrooms. Have we got enough room? They have got a big Christmas tree. They have not got any mince pies. Have they got any eggnog? You have got a nice house. You have not got lots of food in your fridge. Have you got any animals? All right, well, that was simple enough, wasn't it? Yes, so let's think about the things we have to do when we're only using the verb to have. We know that the 2 forms, have and have got, for possession are the same, at least in meaning. Have got is more informal, but they mean the same thing. All right, but what happens when we want to use have in the negative? Well, what do we have to do when we're making a negative sentence with a verb in the present simple tense in English? There's something we need, isn't there? Yes, we need a verb to help us make the negative. We need the auxiliary verb to do. So, when we want to make a negative sentence using have, then we use do for most of the subject forms. But we remember that the verb to do changes to does in the 3rd person singular. So, if we're making a negative statement about the Hulk or Cleopatra, then we use does, not do. I do not have a new skateboard. You do not have a soft voice. The Hulk does not have blonde hair. Cleopatra does not have a mobile phone. We do not have a fast car. You do not have a big flat. They do not have any teeth. Simple, isn't it? Yes, and when we want to use have in questions, then what do? Yes, that's right. Once again, we have to use do as an auxiliary verb to make questions, and once again, we watch out for the 3rd person singular, because there, of course, we're not using do, but does. And because we're making questions now, we remember that we start with the auxiliary verb, then follow with the subject, and then the main verb, have. Do I have green hair? Do you have a computer? Does the Hulk have a frying pan? Does Cleopatra have some curling tongs? Do we have a nice flat? Do you have an electric oven? Do they have a camera? So, that's all very simple, isn't it? We know that we can use either the form of have or have got to talk about possession. We know that have got is more informal. Perhaps we're more likely to use that form when we're speaking, not writing. But, well, someone might have a problem with you writing the more informal form, but not me. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I use both forms, and I don't see why you shouldn't. Use whichever one you prefer. If you want to only use have for written English when you're writing about possession, then fine. If you want to use have and have got in spoken English and written English, then go for it. All you have to remember is that when we're making negatives and questions with have got, then we don't need an auxiliary verb. But when we're making negatives and questions with have, then we do need an auxiliary verb. That's all. And indeed, that's all. It's the end of today's show, and I've got to go. I'm leaving you once again, but we'll meet again on Monday. Hey, Monday! I'd forgotten. Today's Friday, isn't it? Right then, brush off your New Year's Day hangover, get into the shower and scrub your body, all of your bod, especially the smelly parts. And when you no longer smell like a homeless dinosaur's armpit, then jump out of the shower, bung on some antiperspirant, throw some gel into your hair, get your glad rags on and go and meet your friends. I'll see you all later on Monday. Have a great night. Have a fantastic weekend. And if you need to catch up on anything English related, then remember the website with the 3 Ks, www.mediaclick.hu. See you all on Monday. See you later. Bye.